Hello, Steve White, Steve Art 89. Well, there's more interviews coming out from the stars to promote the upcoming release of Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3. They're releasing 2 episodes to Paramount Plus on the opening day. And not much new coming from the interviews, just the basic. There was a lot more for my character to do. There's more development, it was hard work, but we got through it, and just the usual, nothing, just the usual promotion, product is good, buy product. But I did find it funny that Sci Fanatics got an interview with Uhura, Ortegas, and the doctor, I'm forgetting his name. And of course, he didn't go into any depth. Like, he did vaguely touch on the darkness of Mbenga, but he didn't go into any of the interesting things, like the fact that they had his character assassinate a Klingon, kill him in cold blood, and then Chapel cover up for it, and what it's done to those characters now, because these are beloved characters that Star Trek fans love, and now we find out they're murderers and, covering up murder on the Enterprise. So that really hurts those characters. So I'm happy that this is in a different universe now, because my Chapel didn't do that, and my Mbenga didn't do that. Theirs can go off and kill as many Klingons as they want. It doesn't affect my universe, thank God. We have a different timeline. So it doesn't affect my timeline, but we all know it's a different universe as well, and always was. But they won't acknowledge a different universe. They've compromised by having it be a different timeline, so they've got some leeway to say, well, timelines, you can change them, but they also go back and, this is sort of like our version of the timeline, which is pretty much the same, but actually it's not the same, so we can get around doing things. So they've done that sneakily, so people like me don't get hung up on it, but the generic sort of, well, the general sort of New Trek fans can, the generic sci-fi fans who like Star Trek, New Trek, can still continue to believe that it's the same as Star Trek, so somehow they think it'd be devaluing the show to acknowledge that it's a reboot and push that factor instead of trying to hide it. I just never have understood that. But not a lot coming from these new ones, but I just find it funny that some of the shillier YouTube sites, like Sci Fanatics, got access to the actors. They'd never speak to someone like me because I'd ask real questions. And they don't like that because they're just, they're there on behalf of the studio to push content, and you're supposed to, buy the content, eat content, eat product good, eat product. That's sort of just their studio mentality, and they don't actually care. Like, these people will end up on the convention circuit one day talking about what really happened, how they really felt about things, what fans have really said to them, what perspective they have now after the fact. Like Marina Sirtis revealing, how cruel the negotiations were for, I think it was Nemesis, where they basically said, we don't need you, we can use 7 of 9, Jerry Ryan's much more popular than you, so if you don't take this money, we'll just get her, and stuff like that. So, the studio is pretty cold. They don't treat the actors like, the legacy character, should be. And it's all negotiations, it's all business, and this is just very much business. And like, I read through them all, there's really nothing. Ortega's deals with her demons because they showed a dark side to her, and there was a question of could she get back to, the fun Ortega's character we like. In a way they can, but in another way they can't, because we don't forget that stuff. Like, Mbenga may manage his demons, which apparently he's going to be dealing with this season. He's going to actually perhaps acknowledge the fact he murdered a Klingon in cold blood, and that his history turned him into a monster. And he can deal with that and find peace with himself, but can we forgive him for that? Can we forget that he did that? Is that not going to stay in that character forever? I mean, it's fine for him to just forget and move on, but, as fans watching the show, we see those episodes over and over again. So it's kind of, you got to be careful what you do with these characters, because, it lasts forever. It's not like, the actor has a journey and then they move on, but as a fan, you go back and watch those episodes and those seasons over and over again. You want to revisit it. You want to live in that universe. So they've got to be careful what they do. But I didn't see anything much from the interviews. I mean, we know that Una takes command, and she's sort of freed up a bit from her sort of repressed state of always sort of hiding her true self and so forth. So there are elements like that. So all the characters have somewhere to go, something to do. They really just end up where they sort of began in their other Star Trek series. So it's not a lot of progress that's interesting to us, because we've already seen them arrive and know who they are. So just seeing their journey isn't always that interesting. But more of that. And I'm mainly just commenting because I found it funny that Sci Fanatics, he's an Australian YouTuber. He's always, finding the positive side and just shilling really hard, and it's paid off. He actually got to speak to the actors, and I'm sure he's going to get lots of views. It's going to help his channel. They'd never give someone like me an opportunity like that. That's why I never invested enough in my channel to go for something like that, because I knew I'd have to sell out and be like him. I don't want to do that. I'd rather just have a tiny channel where I can speak my mind and be honest, and people who watch my channel can hear some honesty, instead of just buy more product, consume more content. Content is good. Studio says content is good, buy product. That's sort of all they can do. They can't really talk about Star Trek. They can't really give an opinion unless it's just content good, buy content, consume product, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of the interviews, the press tour, how it's going, where they're going with the show. I just hope they don't jump too many sharks before the end, and don't try and do something big with the show that damages it. That's all I'm hoping.